Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. An absolutely packed show today. We're talking NCAA indoors. We're talking NCAA cross country. We're going to have a fantasy draft with a special guest. We're going to have an edition of Gordon's Guesses. We better get rolling here, Gordon. How you doing?
Doing good. We're getting close, man, to technically tomorrow is the start of NCAAs. You got the indoor multis starting. So remember it was a big deal about the 3-day indoor meet? Well, we're going to have our first ever 3-day indoor meet starting tomorrow. But ultimately, looking most forward to that Saturday afternoon and evening, and ultimately also Monday with the cross country. And I'm really excited that Saturday and Monday, we're going to be doing 3 live podcasts where we are going to be live on YouTube. We'll also throw up the archive on Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcast. But ultimately, you can watch the podcast live on Saturday during the men's finals, then a second one during the women's finals, and then also a third one during the cross-country races. And we'll be doing live reaction, analysis, play-by-play, projections. We'll have some special guests. It's going to be a watch party extravaganza. So if you guys are wanting to watch the meet and you have nothing to do in quarantine, you have no one to watch it with, turn on YouTube, watch it with us, and we'll make it a fun time.
Yeah, Gordon is really fun to watch meets with because he'll say something like, "Oh, LSU's hammer thrower just moved up to 7th. That's big. That's big." And you're like, "Gordon, it's the men's mile final right now. Why are you freaking out about someone moving into 7th?" And then he'll tell you all the ripple effects from that move. So join me in watching it with Gordon. It's going to be fun. If you're into the team score, for sure, it's a good way to get really instant reaction to everything that's happening on that team battle. And also we could see some crazy individual performances as well too, and we'll be able to talk about them in real time.
I do have 2 versions, though, of the way I watch track meets, because there's a version that maybe will come out. I don't know, but I normally will never, ever let it come out in public. In public media is the way I truly think about certain track events and meets and runners. So there are certain people who watch track meets with me who get to see like the true way I watch a track meet. Maybe you'll hear my actual true side commentary. We don't know. Depends on if I have a drink or two. I probably won't have a drink or two, but if I did, you might hear a couple hot takes that I can't say publicly about certain athletes or teams or races or whatever, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something to maybe look forward to. Gordon risking it all on the live stream. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Just get super nerdy. But yes, we will have instant reaction, and obviously, as is the case at any track meet or any cross country race, when a championship's on the line, there's always plenty to talk about. There's never been a dull championship meet. We'll start first with indoors, as you mentioned. The multis get going on Thursday, then we have prelims on Friday and some finals as well. And then Saturday, it's split up into the two sections in order to minimize the amount of people in the venue. So there'll be a women's section, a men's section. But I wrote down here, Gordon, 6 things to watch, or 6 just notable points. And I'm going to throw them to you and we can discuss them. First thing is just Oregon's mid-distance men. Can they hold it together for one more meet? They've been on fire this indoor season. Can that DMR squad get the title? Can Cole Hawker win the mile? Cooper Tier in the 3K? Charlie Hunter in the 800? They have so many options for points here. I'm just curious to see, can they dominate one last indoor competition?
Yes, and half yes. Yes, in that they have the talent, they have the ability to basically sweep all those events and just throw down the gauntlet against the rest of the NCAA. My half yes is I really do think that even like the floor for them is getting like second or third in all the events. Like I don't think their floor is getting 8th or 7th or not making a final or all that stuff. I really just think their floor is second and third in the events where you have like the Texas Tech guy, Hadeli in the 800. You have, Amoy Kemboy in the 3K, and there's a bunch of good milers right out there. Obviously Sam Tanner and a few others. So there's an opportunity for Oregon to come out as the favorites and have come away with a bunch of second place and third place finishes. but that's also good enough for team-wise because they'll have a bunch of them. I'm sure they want more than just a collection of seconds and thirds. They want a sweep of firsts, which they have the ability to do. I don't think they'll win every single one, but I do think they'll win a majority of the events they're in.
Right now, you have them as a 15-point favorite over LSU, 64-49. One person I'm watching on Oregon's roster who's not mid-distance is Michael Williams, the 60-meter freshman who comes in as the top seed. As we've mentioned before, because there was no indoors, because there was no outdoors, we don't know who's championship ready in the sprint events. We've seen a lot more distance racing because of cross country, and some big names graduated or moved on, went pro. There's a vacuum there. I want to see who steps up and takes it. So it'll be interesting to see if Williams gets it done in the 60 as a freshman. Anything else we should know about the men's team race?
Yeah, obviously Oregon is in the driver's seat. If things go well or half well, they're likely to win. But like any indoor meet, 18 events, all they need is a couple things to go wrong in certain directions. Get a couple thirds and a couple fourths, and then all of a sudden, LSU and Arkansas will be in the mix.
Yeah. All right. Another thing I'm looking forward to seeing, another storyline here. Well, let's just talk about the women's team race. Let's just pivot right now to the women's team race. And the story for me there, you have Arkansas as the top seed. The story for me there, though, within Arkansas is just their depth. They're favored only by 3 points. But here's an example of their depth, Gordon. The Arkansas women have 4 entries in the mile and 4 entries in the 400. I don't know how far you have to go back in history to find another team that had that kind of lineup. I know they're a narrow favorite because you have Texas A&M right there at 56, and then Texas at 52, and then a drop off to BYU with 38. So it looks like on paper a 3-team battle here.
Yeah, and it's a 3-team battle where they're not really going to be racing each other much. Texas is going to be really heavily focused on the sprinter events, the short sprint events. Arkansas will be really heavy on the distance. And then Texas A&M is going to be really heavy in the multis and field. Now, there obviously will be a few crossovers like a Thing Mo and the 400. And, Arkansas does have a 400 runner, whatever. But the main...
4 of them. 4
400-meter runners. They're the main point scores that the thing that will swing the team scores either way will be in 3 different categories. So we're never actually going to see a lot of Arkansas on Texas A&M bloodshed. I'll make it dramatic by using the word bloodshed. I think they're all going to be kind of just racing other teams to try to be the king of the queen and king of the distance events or the sprint events or the field events. But it's going to be close. Obviously, I don't think there's any clear favorite in my opinion. I think it's 3 co-favorites. Whenever you're that close in the projections, the margin of error is within there. So it's a 3-team battle, but it's a close 3-team battle, much closer than on the men's side. It'll be exciting. And then I'm not sure if this is one of your other points, but I am interested to see that 4th place spot for the women, especially because every time a non-traditional track team is in position to podium, it's very interesting. And in this case, it's BYU women. They are going to be going neck and neck with Arkansas in the distance events, in the mid-distance events. And I think it'd be kind of wild if BYU comes out of the weekend with a 4th place trophy before they go into cross country with a team that potentially can win. And it's going to be like ultimately motivating for that cross country squad to see their fellow teammates come away with a DMR win or a 3K win or a mile, like All-American finish.
Yeah, that was one of my points, is just the idea of momentum, even though they aren't running the same people, but just the fact that these indoor races could foreshadow a bit what we're going to see in cross country. For BYU women, it's interesting. They have a lot of lottery tickets in these 2 championships because you have Courtney Wayment and Olivia Hoy in the 3,000. You have the DMR, which could win. You have their 800-meter runner who came out of nowhere, but because of Thing Mo isn't running the 800, that event is wide open. She's the number 3 seed, Claire Seymour. Okay. They also have, be a longer shot in the mile, but they also qualified 3 women in the mile. And then you go to cross country, and obviously they have an individual contender and a team contender. So one of those is going to pay off, you'd think, just statistically speaking. And I think if there's good signs that BYU's in shape and training's been clicking and everybody's on the same page, you might start to see that indoors, even though, again, it's not the same people, but they're doing a lot of the same workouts. Obviously, they have the same coach. Will that carry over? So that's an interesting point. The men's version of that, when I was looking at the men's version of that, obviously, a lot of the men chose one or the other, right? We talked about Arkansas, some guys doing both. We talked about Oregon going all in on indoor. But the person who I think is most significantly impacted by this indoor XC double is Wesley Kiptoo. Because if he goes out there, regardless of the field not being as strong as it could be, but if he goes out there and just blows everybody out of the water in his indoor race, his odds are going to just like spike overnight. It's going to be the betting markets are going to go nuts for this. And by betting markets, I mean your projections, because it's just going to kind of impact how we see Wesley Kiptoo. Because on the flip side of things, if he doesn't run that well, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe he's not in the best form right now. Maybe he's going to struggle a little bit in championships. We've never seen him in a meet this big before. So I think Kiptoo's indoor performance is going to tell us a lot about how he will do in cross.
Here's a question. Where do you think the NCAA Indoor 5K champion on the men's side finishes in cross? Because there are a couple other people who are doing double, like Aaron Benfeld. There's a few others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would be shocked.
Kemboy.
I mean, we're saying Kiptoo. You're thinking Kiptoo's the big favorite, though, right?
Yeah, but like, just in general, like, if you go into the cross country race with a national title in your pocket, does that elevate you? But that does also hurt you, because then you're kind of settled. You're
tired.
Like, oh well, at least I got one. You're tired. There are some negative aspects. It's there could be a negative aspect to winning where, there's not as, whereas if you go out and get like 15th, you're going to be motivated, be like, all right, races in the past, I'm all in on cross. Whereas if you come out as a champion, you're going to be like, yeah, we'll see what I can do. I already got the title in the bag. This is now great. This is just frosting and gravy.
Well, that's a good combination, frosting and gravy. Get that in Fayetteville and in Stillwater in the next couple of days. It just depends on the athlete. I think a lot of people, for example, Kiptoo wins it, and then there's no pressure in cross country. So maybe he'll run better if there's no pressure. You're right, though. The fatigue could be a factor. I just think if it was somebody who we had more experience watching, we could be more confident in a pick. But I think we're all waiting for him. He needs to do it in a championship race for us to be like, okay, we're all in on Wesley Kiptoo. He's legit. And I think if he does that in this race, if he runs away from the field in the last 800, looks pretty calm, I think you'd say, all right, I like his chances. He's definitely, to answer your question, he won the 5K. He's going to be top 3. Like, I don't see him being any lower than top 3 in Stillwater, even though he's doubling back. Because if this was a regular year, he probably would have doubled back in the 3K anyway, and we'd probably say, oh, that guy can win both. This time he's doubling back to a 10K cross, but that might even be to his advantage, because the longer the better for Wesley Kiptoo. That's just my thinking. If it was someone like we knew more about, like a Mance or a Grijalva or an Amon Kemboy, someone who had gone through the championships before, I think we'd have a better grasp on how we think they're going to do. But because he's new, I think this adds an interesting little wrinkle to watching the indoor meet, trying to figure out what that means for cross country.
You know what would have been really great? This would have been awesome. Now, we don't have this situation where NAU and BYU don't have this type of runner, but imagine if NAU or BYU had a athlete with no cross country eligibility, but was a good 5K runner with indoor eligibility. And their job in the indoor 5K was to make it extremely, extremely hard for Wesley Kiptoo. Yeah. And to basically, hey, man, we don't care if you win or lose. We just want you to give hell in that 5K. Make it hell for everyone involved So therefore, we are guaranteeing that the other 15 athletes are all going to shit the bed at cross on Monday. And it's like, you've done your job. You're it's like a kamikaze of just jumping in and boom, take out the entire field. That would have been awesome. That would have been the ultimate like gamemanship too, because everyone would know and it wouldn't be like bad because it's like the athlete, it's not like they're being wasted for cross because they don't have cross eligibility. Like imagine if this was last year and Tyler Day, who only had indoor, just goes into the 5K and it's like, all right, don't worry, I got this, Mike. I'm gonna make Wesley Kipp to earn his second place finish or something like that, and then boom, that would be awesome. Oh man, I wish that was happening.
They couldn't get somebody in this meet, BYU and NU. I guess they don't care too much about the individual title, right? It'd be a bigger deal if it was Iowa State was in the team race, or if Mance was in this and you wanted to tire him out. Next thing I'm watching, let's talk about a thing, Mo, Gordon. 50-52, her 400-meter PB. The collegiate record and the American record held by Kendall Ellis, 50.34. This track is certainly quick. I think she's going to get this mark. We talked about why the decision around the 400 instead of the 800 makes sense. She could end her first season in college with the collegiate record in the 800 and the 400, and also have a national title in the 400 and the 4x4. It doesn't get much better than that. What do you expect to see from the thing, Mo, this weekend?
And the collegiate record in the 4x4. Remember, she has that too.
Correct.
So she got 3 collegiate records, a couple U20 records, two national titles.
Maybe an American.
I forgot your question.
Well, if she gets the collegiate record in the 400, she's going to get the American record. It's the same thing. So she could end this season with an American. Oh, I'm just saying, what do you expect to see from her? I think Mo's going to break the. Yeah, I think she's going to break the collegiate record in the 400 this weekend.
I agree. I think she
fast track,
that lanky body, which is just like, she looks like Asbel Kiprop out there, right? Just perfect form. It's just like, man, you just feel like she's taking like 0.75 steps for everyone's one step, like she just has like much more efficient with going over the 400 meter distance. And I do think now that she's all in focused, she doesn't have to, the only thing I would say is that could screw her up is when she did run her 50.52, was it 52?
Mm-hmm.
It's a different scenario where, you knew she was the best in the field. So she kind of had a clear pathway to that break. So it's basically just her and the track and the clock. There could be a situation where she's in that 400 meter final and there's just a really fast 200 meter opener in that race, and they kind of can cut her off and she doesn't really have a clean break to the 200 meter mark. One argument, I mean, this is wild. Part of me thinks the thing Mo should try to sandbag the prelim to try to get in the slow section of the final so that she can guarantee that she can kind of just dominate the slow section and kind of just time trial it. That's my hot take. You don't want to risk that, but like she might be better off being the 5th seed than the 1 seed in the final.
She has a seed time that's more than a half a second clear of the second fastest person. But you're right. Some people are really, really quick starters in the 200, which can cause trouble at the break. The number 2 seed, Talitha Diggs, is also a freshman, so this will be her first chance at an NCAA championship. I think there's been a lot of people, if you go back in NCAA indoor history, who would have benefited from being the 5 seed in this event as opposed to being the 1 seed. I get seeing your competition and wanting to know exactly where they're at, but a lot can go wrong. And if you're talking about Mo just being head and shoulders the best 400 meter runner in the NCAA right now, the only way she loses is if something weird happens, and weird things happen when there's a bunch of people crowded around you on a banked 200 meter indoor track. So yeah, if she could get into a heat where she's going to be so far ahead of everybody else in the first 200, that might help. That's a good point.
Yeah. So we'll see. What
Yeah.
else is exciting?
One other thing I gotta know. This is just interesting because it got brought up in the press conference. Trey Cunningham, Florida State's 60-meter hurdler, going for his first title. It's just interesting to think because Grant Holloway was there for so many years in the same state as him as well. He was obviously overshadowed. He was the favorite last year at Albuquerque before the meet got canceled. So just an interesting storyline there because Cunningham has been in the picture for so long, but he's never had that moment. So this weekend could perhaps be that moment for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of the veteran of the sprint group. He's had the most championship experience compared to all the other guys because a lot of top guys have graduated or gone pro. So I do think he's probably one of the most heavy favorites in the short distances because of just being there and being championship ready with going up against obviously the likes of Grant and um,
Daniel Roberts.
Roberts the past few years. I think he's going to PB. I'm not sure if he's going to throw down anything crazy spectacular like top 3 all time, but I think he's going to win pretty easily.
All right, so we'll touch on the indoor meet again at the end with another edition of Gordon's Guesses. Gordon's going to make a couple picks for indoors. You're not going to pick every event, but you're just going to pick the things that move him the most. What we're going to do now, we're going to get the latest edition of the Under Armour Performance Series. And then when we come back, we're going to dive into cross country with our full preview of the men's and women's races that are coming up on Monday in Stillwater. Then we're going to do our fantasy cross country draft. And then again, we will close it out with Gordon making some predictions. But first, here's this week's edition of the Under Armour Performance Series. And now it's time for the Under Armour Performance Series. Under Armour, more than an apparel or shoe company, a human performance company trying to not only make their athletes better, but everyone a better runner as well. In this series, we've been talking to athletes, coaches, trainers on a variety of topics to help improve you as a runner, from preparation, nutrition, and training to competing and recovery. Today's guests are from the District Track Club. We got Tom Brumlick, who's the coach over there in Washington, D.C., as well as Alex Amakwa, who competes in the 800 for the club and competed in the 2016 Olympics. Thank you both for joining us. Tom, I want to start with you. Can you first just explain what the purpose and the mission is of the District Track Club?
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me. Thanks for Alex and I. So District Track Club started back in 2016. Our goals are pretty simple. One, we're trying to, on the track, try to create the best middle distance group we can possibly be. Primarily, our group is 800 meters. Have a few 1500 meter runners and a distance runner or two. But for the most part, our goal is, trying to be the best middle distance group we possibly can be. Off the track, our goal is to try to involve our athletes as much as we can in the community. Half of our group, over half our group are coaches in the area. In addition to that, we've worked pretty closely with Under Armour and a couple of other partners to do a good amount of community events. One being the DMV Meet of Champions, which is a kind of an all-star meet in the area with DC, Maryland, Virginia, kind of bringing together the best of the best to kind of bring them together for some competition. So on the track, trying to be the best possible middle distance group we can be. Off the track, trying to involve our athletes in the community as much as possible.
Alex, when you were looking to join a team as a professional athlete, what was some of the factors that played in your mind when you came to choosing to run for the District Track Club?
When I was, picking a team, a couple things ran through my mind. It was first the quality of talent of, the team. I wanted to make sure I was going to be part of a team that was going to push me, challenge me, and coaching. Before I joined the team, me and Tom clicked very early on. I agree with a lot of his methods. And not only was he going to try to develop me as an athlete, he was going to try to develop me as an individual. And I didn't have that with, any coach when I was trying to pick a team to join. So those two things I really try to focus on, and district track club was that for me.
And Tom, you mentioned you guys specialize in the middle distance events, but the team itself is incredibly diverse, coming from a variety of different countries throughout the world. Why is that an important piece for you?
Yeah, I think it's important. When we first started, you could a lot of the chirp in the running world was, you got to have athletes that are, if you want athletes to work with brands and things like that, typically you want to have athletes that are representing, trying to compete for the US. So initially that's kind of my first, involvement in the sport in this level. That's kind of what I thought. But then, as we got further along, I realized, having a diverse team and, having athletes from different backgrounds was such an advantage, because again, you have people, with different viewpoints. You have people with different, training backgrounds, social backgrounds. Everyone brings something different to the table. We have a lot of different personalities on our team, a lot of different skill sets on our team. And again, I think it's just such a advantageous thing to have athletes that can kind of push each other in different areas on the track and off the track as well. When it comes to, again, when you join a group and you come to DC to kind of put everything on the line for a few years to see where you could take the sport. Just like Alex mentioned, you want to try to grow as a person. And, if you're just working with people that, were what you were used to in high school and college, it's harder to grow. But when you're surrounded by people that, again, just have seen the world in a different way and have come from different places, it really sets you up for success when it comes to growing as a person. So multiple levels, I think, on the track, off the track, is important to our group.
Tom, are there any challenges as a coach when you bring a group of 16 athletes together, all from different backgrounds, that came from different, childhood experiences, came from different training experiences in their high school and college days? What are the main challenges of having 16 different types of athletes?
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge is, everybody has come from success, and everybody, has come from a different program with a different way of thinking, and quite honestly, almost a different language. Speed work might be something to one person and something very different to somebody else. Strength work might be something to one person and might be something different to someone else. So getting everybody, on the same page, in communication is definitely really challenging when you have, again, 16 athletes that have all had a ton of success and all kind of, think that the way that they, trained in college is the way that they need to train now. Trying to bring people, together, understand what worked for them, but also get them to, all kind of be able to work together. Because again, everyone came here, like Alex mentioned, to train with other people. So as much as I like to individualize things, you can't really do that too much, because then you have 16 people all training by themselves. So yeah, getting people to kind of speak the same language is definitely a challenge. Getting people to buy in quickly is a challenge, because again, you don't necessarily have the 4 years that you have in the college level and the high school level. You kind of got to get people to buy in and understand things really quickly. So yeah, I'd say, just from a communication standpoint, when you have people from different backgrounds and different, programs, it's definitely the biggest challenge.
Alex, can you speak more about that personal growth part of the equation? That's not something you often hear when professional runners talk about joining a group.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like after college, most of us, a lot of people who want to run post-collegiate or run professional, they're just thinking about, like, how am I gonna run faster? How am I gonna, make some more money? But sometimes we don't think about, at a certain point, you're gonna have to stop running. You can't keep running forever. And I have some friends who have, run at the elite level who are Olympic medalists or, made Olympic finals. And, after 4 or 5 years, of running really well, they find themselves with nothing. They don't have any, no, what's the word I want to use? There's no work for them outside of running. They don't have, financially, they're struggling. And one of the really cool things about Tom was, I want to develop you not only as a runner, but as an athlete. So what do you like to do? And I'm very passionate about coaching. And he said, okay, hey, we can work a way where you can start coaching at the high school level. And he was able to connect me with people. And I learned so much from Tom, especially learning how to, just mainly connecting with people. Like, hey, I enjoy coaching and getting me into a high school at Episcopal High School. So it's been great. Tom really sheltering me and trying to build me up to just focus on what I need to do outside of running as well for my future.
And for you, 2021, what are the goals on the track? What would be a successful year for Alex in 2021?
Man, it's to make an Olympic final. A lot of people don't know how I got into running, but it was very last minute. A month or two before I was supposed to graduate from high school, I started running track. My first race, I think I ran 2 flat and then went on to run 153 and went to junior college, went to Alabama. And I've always felt like I had the potential to make the Olympics. So in 2016, when I made the Olympics, 2 months before, I fractured my fibula, and it was devastating because I just, you want to make a name for yourself. You want to compete with the best, and to know that you were going to be at the Olympics, with a broken bone, a crack in your bone, it kind of hurt. So I want to redeem myself, and I think the best way to redeem myself is to make the Olympic final.
Tom Brumlick, Alex Amakwa, thank you both so much for joining us on the Under Armour Performance Series. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, we are back, ready to dive into cross country. Gordon, this is a lot of championships. I just got to say, you write it down on paper. Here's the rundown. Here's what we're going to talk about. But then when you actually do it in practice, this is going to be a busy weekend.
It is. And I'm not sure if I'm ready for it. I'm not sure if I'm prepared for all the racing content.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into these 4 races: individual team, men and women. We'll start first with the women's team race. We talked about how close this is. What do you think ultimately is going to be the deciding factor here for the women's team race?
What do I think the deciding factor is going to be? I don't know. I think
I really threw a tough one to you. You said you weren't prepared, and I just went with a very high-level question right at you.
the deciding factor. I mean, I always say the deciding factor in any race is who has the best 4-man or 4-woman. But I think for the women's race specifically, I think the deciding factor is, I think each one is different. I mean, there's like 5 teams, and each one has a different deciding factor.
Okay, run through them.
Okay, deciding factor of BYU is, do they have a 5th woman who shows up? The deciding factor of Stanford is, do they have a 3rd woman who shows up, aka behind Zofia Dudek and Ella Donahue. Deciding factor for NC State is, do they run everyone? I think that's a big deciding factor. And then a deciding factor for New Mexico is their spread, their time spread between 1st and 5th. I think New Mexico wins with the pack, BYU wins with a good 5th, Stanford wins with a good 3, and NC State wins with everyone on the starting line at their best talent-wise, which I'm not sure. We have no idea if we're going to see that.
That's a good synopsis. I think the key part to New Mexico too is, because if you think, okay, that pack is going to be together, it's going to move in tandem. Well, doesn't that really matter then where the pack starts? So I mean, Advocoan finishing 15th is just so much different if she's their number one runner than Advocoa finishing 35th. I think they need a low stick. I think they need a low stick. If you look, history bears that out, even though this is a weird championship year, that you still need somebody who's capable of finishing in the top 10. And I think they'll be in a really good position if she does that because their pack has been so tight. I'm curious, and we can transition now to the individual race. Whitney Orton hasn't raced all 2021. She looked good in the fall, but we didn't see her that much. She ran that basketball mile, so we know she's coordinated and can dribble basketball while running. But then you look at – so you want to say, okay, she hasn't run. Somebody else deserves that number one spot. But then you look, and who would you put in place? There's nobody else really who's clamoring for that number one spot. I mean, you could say Ella Donahue would be the next most likely to win, but there isn't, because of people going pro, because of the way the season's worked out, everything we've been through. I think Whitney Orton is still the favorite, despite not running at all.
Yeah. Man, this race is weird. I just feel like whatever I think is going to happen is not going to happen, and I'll be dumb, for not thinking the other thing's going to happen. I mean, Whitney Orton, though, even though she didn't run, she is healthy. I know that for a fact. Talking with the coach, I saw her at the West Coast Conference Championships before the race. She did a workout and she was healthy. So she did a good workout too. Maybe we filmed
that's great.
And maybe we'll put it up next week. So
I mean, and again, just as Drew Bosley dropped out 5K in and then did a workout. Workouts are great. Workouts are awesome, but you don't get NCAA titles for workouts. But I can't make a strong argument for anybody else to be number one. I mean, Donahue, and then you go to the third spot, which Mercy Chelangat, of course, you probably think she's going to win. Then you go to Dudek and Logue and Haley Herbert and Taryn O'Neill and Bethany Haas. Like, all these people are great runners, but Whitney Orton just has a much stronger set of performances behind her. So the one complicating factor is the course too. This is going to be a challenging course.
What I was going to say about that is that there's a huge advantage for BYU, not just individually with Orton, but team-wise, because among all the team favorites, like the top five, they're the only ones that run the course. They're the only ones with like a knowledge of the course. Stanford has never been there. New Mexico's never been there. NC State's never been there. But BYU's been there. And Whitney Orton's been there, and she won it on that course against Taylor Rowe. So that is going to be an advantage. Even though, they're going to get to see the course on a jog, you don't know what it feels like going up and down those hills when you're jogging. You only feel it when you're actually in the race mode. So,
yeah. Well, you're right. That was good planning ahead of time there to get out there and see it with no guarantees. Stanford, I found out from the press conference yesterday, Stanford didn't even meet together as a team until they were on their way to that Florida State meet. So
that's wild.
two just completely different approaches. I would probably give the slight edge to BYU, but I think it's very close. I know you have NAU as a dark horse here too, or are you saying that they're a favorite now to get on the podium? I've lost track of where you have NAU on the women's side of things. You're ranked sixth.
They're in that we can get fourth range.
Okay.
So, they're not. At one point they were like, maybe we could win if crazy things, but then Pac-12s and Mountain West happened, and New Mexico and Stanford kind of showed up well to kind of say no, like it's going to be one of us or BYU type deal. So
okay, all right. Men's race. NAU. Number one seed, trying to get their title back. BYU, their closest competitor, we think. I'm guessing you're going to say the defining factor for BYU is going to be Elijah Armstrong, whether or not he can keep that gap tight. And for NAU, I mean, for me, the only question for NAU is Bosley, really. Because if Bosley's able to roll, then they're going to win in a rout. I know you could ask questions about everybody because we didn't see Grijalva at the conference meet, but to me, I think Bosley's the knockout punch for NAU. That's how I'll phrase that.
Yeah, you think I think Blaze Farrow is a knockout punch because we all, when we're comparing BYU and NAU, we're kind of matching them up with Grijalva versus Mance, Young versus Klinger, Abdi Haminur versus Garnica. It's like the big threes versus big threes. I think NAU's four-man, Blaze Farrow, is going to be like, oh, I'm not part of the big three party. And I think it's Blaze Farrow versus Clayton Shumway, I guess, in that number 4 spot. And I think Blaze is going to beat Clayton Shumway by probably like 50 places. That's what I think.
Okay.
I think Blaze is going to have an incredible race. So, senior,
I could see Blaze being
he's healthy.
Well, you mentioned before though, you thought Blaze could end up being their second guy. I don't have any worries about Blaze this year at all. I mean, he's proven it in 2 races. He's running better than he has his entire career. It feels like. Bosley, there's some questions. And then if you say, okay, one of NAU's big 3 has an off race, it might happen. It could happen. 2 of the 3 could have a bad race. We saw that last year in Terre Haute 2 years ago, whenever that last time that was a cross country meet was. But that's where I think Bosley comes in, because if NAU just runs like a normal team, a normal championship team, not like an all-time great championship team, but if they just run like a normal and they have some people overperform and some people underperform, then I think Bosley is the key to just shoring up the back end of their lineup to make sure that, because you're talking about the gap between BYU and NAU's 4 being big, it could be huge at 5, and then that's going to be the deciding factor as well too. But I see your point. I think we're arguing basically the same thing. It's just the back half of NAU's lineup needs to be there in order to make sure NAU doesn't squeak through.
Here's a question: if NAU would have won last year, do you think our conversation would be different?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because if NAU won last year, that probably would have meant that Luis Grijalva ran really well, or maybe Blaze Farrow ran really well, and they would have come in a completely different position. Or Mance didn't run as well, or Garnica didn't run as well. Yeah, 100%. Ed Eyestone's 100% right in the press conference. He's basically saying it was called a rivalry, but it wasn't really until we beat them. You have to, in a sport like cross country where you compete so sparingly, it's not good enough to just be close a bunch of times to develop a rivalry. There has to be an exchange of victories. And now we actually have that. And they did it by upsetting them, which added a little bit of a twist to it. And that's definitely shaped our perspective. Maybe not you as much, because you wanted to give NAU the title back in January. It took me I need to see a little bit more, but now that I have,
I think this
NAU's
is the best team in the past 5 years, and I think we'll know that by Monday afternoon. I really do. I think for some reason, I know I probably said last year's team was the best team they've had in the past 4 years.
You said that every year. And then usually you ask Mike that at a press conference, and then he says, I don't want to compare teams. It's a tradition.
Yeah, every team's it's tradition. But he wasn't at the press conference this year for us to ask that question. But yeah, I just think that Nico Young is really good. I mean, not as good as you think he is. I mean, you think he's better than I think he is. But I do think he's good. And I think there's just a fire under Luis. I think pandemic taking away his indoor, having to sit on his cross-country race for over a year, and he's finally going to let it all out. It's just going to be really good. I mean, so we'll see. I don't know.
Individually, who do you think?
How do we talk about 2 teams over and over again for like 3 straight years? It's a little wild.
Well, to their credit, they raced each other a little bit too.
Yeah, that's true.
And that added some kindling to this. Otherwise, it would have been, let's compare the relative course and strength of schedule. They actually competed against each other. So I appreciate the fact that they did that. They obviously could have ignored each other. I think it would have been a bit silly, and we probably would mock them for it. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They show up and they race each other, which is cool. And I think it adds interest and adds a new dynamic and allows you to actually compare them without just speculating wildly. So I hope they continue to do that because they both certainly look like they're not going away. Individually, do you have Grijalva as the favorite still? Mance, Kiptoo?
Man, I have no idea what's going to happen individually. I'm very confident that it's going to be one of Mance, Grijalva, Kiptoo, but I'm like, but you don't know. I feel like the safe bet is Mance. I feel like the safe bet is Mance. The obvious bet is Kiptoo in a weird way. And I think the wild card bet is Grijalva. So safe is Mance, obvious is Kiptoo, wild card is Grijalva. That's how I would do it. I say safe is Mance because you know he's going to finish no worse than second. So it's like, all right, well, it's either going to win or get second. So he's always going to be there. I think Kiptoo is the obvious because of just the way he dominates all the fields he's running, the way he just like runs from the gun. He's very Kennedy Kathuka-esque, Lawi Laleng-esque, just like from the gun, I'm going to win. And has shown no signs of, the only time he's shown a sign of like vulnerability was in a 3K. Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, that's not, an indoor 3K is not the same as a cross country 10K. And then Grijalva is the wild card because he can kick. We don't know. He's become a wild card because he didn't win his most recent race. So that's why he's more of a wild card. Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't put Grijalva as a wild card. I'd say Grijalva is almost the common sense winner, just when you look at the track PBs. And also when you look at the motivation factor. He has one of the better stories, I guess, from finishing so far back, the team loses, and then he comes back, avenges the loss, and gets his first individual title. Remember, we talked about this before. Luis Grijalva's NCAA championship resume is thin, right? He's never finished in the top 10 in a track race or in cross country. So but he has run so well on the track that just like the recent evidence right in front of your face, you'd have to say, okay, this guy can definitely get it done. So my pick for wild card NCAA champion would be a freshman by the name of Nico Young. That's who I would pick as my wild card. I don't see, you can laugh. I don't see a way he finishes outside of the top 10. I think freshman year, he's a lock for the top 10. He's going to have his guys with him. He's going to be up there with Grijalva. Nur is probably going to be in the mix up there. Blaze Farrell will be with him. He's going to be very, very comfortable up there. Mike Smith has him prepared. I think top 10 is a lock, solid for top 5, and maybe, just maybe, on the right day, a freshman could win the NCAA championship.
I don't know. Oh, look at this.
Link. Oh, look who's joining us. Oh, he jumped off the bed.
Jumped off.
We have a special guest. Lincoln Shrike is going to join us for the fantasy draft here. Here he is. There's Lincoln in the Cubs hat with a red T-shirt. For those of you watching on the YouTube page, Lincoln is back. Doesn't appear as if he's gotten a haircut since he left the show. Here he goes. He's plugging the mic in. He's all warmed up. Lincoln, can you hear us? Lincoln, can you hear us or no?
He doesn't have headphones.
Okay, hold on. He's getting the AirPods in. This is much more of a visual experience than it is an audio one. Lincoln, can you hear us now?
Oh,
I still can't hear us. Come on. Okay, sync in the AirPods. As soon as Lincoln joins us, we'll get this fantasy draft underway. We can see him furiously clicking. I don't even know if he knows he's on camera right now, so hopefully he doesn't do anything too silly.
His shirt off.
Yeah, Lincoln, can you hear us? Oh, he looks like he can hear us, but
we thought we had him.
We really are thinking we had him. Let's
comedy.
go over while we wait to get Lincoln synced up here. Let's go over these draft rules, Gordon.
Yes, so we're gonna do a cross country draft. You, me, Lincoln. It's gonna be snake rules. We're gonna do a draft for the men, a draft for the women, and score it like a regular cross country meet. Pretty obvious. We have to. I guess the only question we need to know is what's the draft order.
Yeah. So we're not doing snake again, right? Are we doing?
No, we are doing snake because there's 3 of us. Snake. Snake.
Okay. All right.
The only reason you don't do a snake is if you want to give preferential treatment to the number 1 pick, which is why they do that in sports because they're the worst team. But we can't give preferential treatment to the number 1 pick, so you have to do snake.
Okay. So Lincoln is dropping his AirPods now. This is going about as well as I thought it would. Lincoln, can you hear us now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, he's back. Yes. You've been on. I don't know if you've noticed, but you've been on this entire time.
Yes, I have.
To sync up the AirPods.
Yes.
All right. I have the official coin to develop the draft order. I don't know. It only has 2 sides and there's 3 of us. So, Lincoln, I'll let you call it in the air. This is you versus Gordon to see who gets the first pick.
Okay. Tails.
It is heads. So, Gordon, you will go ahead of Lincoln. Now, Lincoln, call again. This is you versus me.
Heads.
Go again, Lincoln. That's tails. I go ahead of you.
Good.
Gordon, call it.
Heads.
It is heads. Gordon goes first. I go second. Lincoln goes third. So I'm sandwiched in the middle. Let's go.
Wait, hold
women.
on. No, wait, hold on. Wait. Whoever wins should be able to decide where they go.
No, stop. You're going first. You're going first. Lincoln's going third. I'm going second. I'm overruling you. You can pick, Gordon. Do you want to do women or men first?
We'll do a men's draft first.
Okay. Men's selections first. Gordon, you're on the clock. The clock in this draft is about 15 seconds because there's a lot of people we have to pick. I will keep track of the draft so that we can score it next week. Gordon, go ahead.
I'm going with I got to do the safety.
Oh, he's not ready. He's not ready. Who?
I'm doing Connor. What?
Are you ready or not?
No, I said I'm going with the safe pick. I'm going with Connor Mintz.
Okay, so Gordon goes Mance. I'm going to go with 2. Lincoln, you get 2 picks.
Okay. So you guys neither of you have faith in the guy you currently have ranked number 1. Okay. I'll go Grijalva and Nico Young.
Ooh, doubling up there with NAU. That's good. I like it. Gordon is very jealous. So it's my turn, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to go, man. I'll just stick to Gordon's projections here. I'm going to go Herrera. I'll go Eduardo Herrera from Colorado, my second pick.
With my next 2 picks, I'm going to go with Casey Klinger. I want both BYU guys.
Wow.
I want Casey
You're
Klinger,
and I want Eystone for next pick.
And then this is the hard one. I guess I got to do it. I'll do Abdi Hamid.
Okay, so mixing it up there. All right, so your 3 so far: Mance, Klinger, and Nur. I have Kiptu, Herrera, and with my next pick, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Yared Naguse. I'm just gonna say that the focus on cross country. He's gonna outkick everybody in the last 100 meters in Stillwater. Yared Naguse. You, Lincoln. You get 2.
Does that leave it to me? See here, this is where it comes in. My 2 months of not paying attention to collegiate running may start to affect me.
Not much happened. Not much happened.
Not much happened. Well, I just looked up Grijalva and he lost for some reason, but was that on purpose? It's hard to
No.
ever say. I didn't realize he lost. He's still ranked number 1. That's bold. Okay. I am gonna go. I get 2. Okay, give me Isai Rodriguez on his home course and Alex
Ooh.
Masai. You know, if the weather turns and it's a road race, I have a lot of faith in Alex Masai. So we'll just see if that happens, but I'll go with him.
Oh, Lincoln's put together a good team here, Gordon. And I know you guys have a good history of bets going back and forth. Shoot, I'll go.
That's actually why I left. I owe Gordon so much money that I had to skip town.
There's no extradition treaty in Taylor, Texas. It's like a sovereign nation out there. I'm gonna go Jackson Messler of Oregon.
That's a good pick.
Jackson Messler of Oregon. Orton, your 4th and 5th picks.
My 4th and 5th picks, I'm going with Amon Kemboy and Blaze Farrow.
He's making up for the lack of NAU in the beginning or too much BYU. I'm going to go. Listen, I got to be honest. I'm 4 picks in. You guys are crushing me. I'm going to lose this thing. I'm throwing up the white flag. I'm like at mile 8 of the marathon, and I'm already starting to feel tightness. I'm just going to throw Hail Marys at this point. I'm going Aaron Bienenfeld of Cincinnati because he was a mountain running champion in Germany, and this course has hills. Lots of hills.
There you go.
So
Mountains, hills, the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're on your final 2 picks here. Lincoln for the men.
Okay.
Sorry. You get 5 and 6. Sorry.
Yeah.
5th and 6th.
Okay. No, it's all good. Is Aaron Bienenfeld going to skip the meet? Is there a small European meet that he needs to go to instead of NCAA's? I'm making 2019 jokes now. Okay. Charles Hicks is available, correct? I'm gonna go with him. And I'm just looking at the Pac-12 results. Let's just be honest. I feel like second at Pac-12s is worth usually a decent amount at NCAA's. And then, wow, the names in past like 15. I'll be honest on our rankings. I'm not too familiar. I'll just double up on Stanford. Give me Cole Sprout. So 2 freshmen from Stanford. Did you get that?
Kevin? Dave? We lost Kevin. Oh, we lost Kevin.
All
right.
Okay.
Should we draft 4 Kevin? We'll see. Well, maybe we should text him and say, "Hey, we lost you."
Yeah.
Text. Where's his text?
Is he looks like he's in the office, right? He shouldn't lose
He is
in the office.
I know what's happening. How you doing, Lincoln? Doing good?
Oh, doing good. I think we gotta do the Bulls and Sixers match up tomorrow. Is that right? Is that?
Ooh, they do. Yeah, Zach LaVine.
Yeah, just trying to keep
we don't
Joel
play
Embiid below 80 points.
Well, Embiid and Simmons are not playing because of COVID.
Because they were in the same city as the barber who had COVID. Got all that, Kevin? Okay, good.
We're talking about the Bulls Sixers matchup. We hear you. Oh, Kevin's upset. Oh, this is aching at Kevin right now. He's like, we need to end this. Look at that face. He's a face of disappointment. But yeah, he's back. You back? We got Kevin back. Kevin, you're back.
How long have I been gone? Are you guys on the women's race now? What happened?
No.
This
is gonna be great. Easy.
We skipped to NBA talk for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zach LaVine versus Sixers.
Okay. So who did Lincoln pick? Who did Lincoln pick though? I got to write it down.
He picked Charles
Hicks and Sprout.
Hicks and Sprout. Okay, with my 6th pick before I'm frozen, I'm gonna go Drew Bosley.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go Drew Bosley. Yeah, again, Hail Mary is the theme of my team. So
I'm surprised you guys didn't pick this person. Disrespecting Tulsa. He's going to be in his home state. We talk about home course. He's in his home state. Going with Patrick Deaver also.
All right, you get one more.
And then my second pick, or I guess my last pick or whatever. I'm going with the guy who's going to have a lot of he's going to prove the committee they screwed up. And I'm going with Michigan's Devin Meyer, who is there as an individual. And he's going to have a lot. He's going to run with the fire underneath him. And I'm going with the Wolverine Meyer.
Okay, Meyer. I'm going another 1,500 meter guy because I want to load up on 1,500 meter runners in a 10K cross country race.
Smart.
Waleed Suleiman, welcome to the team. Seventh pick.
Yeah. You got to let him know he was your last pick. That may motivate him to get 47th.
Like Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be really angry. I'm going to go with the guy whose name it is my pick, right?
This is it. Last one.
Jumping. Okay. I'm going to go with the guy whose name I've never heard of, but he sounds like an investment banker. I'm going to go with Barry Keene. Never heard of him. Hope he does well, though.
He's good for Butler. He's good.
Yeah.
Barry Keene. Tax season's coming up. Okay.
Yeah.
Women. We'll flip the order here for women. So, Lincoln, you go first. I will continue to go second, and then Gordon will go third.
There really was no downside for me getting. I'm going to end up with both the number one overall ranked male and female in the FloTrack rankings. So there's no downside for losing those two coin flips. I'll go with Whitney Orton.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'll go Ella Donahue. Oh, this sets up perfectly for Gordon. Say it, Gordon. Say it.
Mercy Chilangat. This guy stay with the per. Oh, I love that. Well, Mercy Chilangat, and then I'm going with I'll do Zofia Dudek. I think she's going to run well.
You missed an opportunity to really yell the name Mercy really loud. Dudek. There you go. I'm gonna go Bethany Haas. Bethany Haas. With my second pick. Lincoln, 2 in a row here.
I'm really focused on these athletes. I see these athletes that have fallen down in the rankings, and I'm suspicious. But I'm going to go with somebody that shot up in the rankings. I think it's the Pac-12 champion, right? Haley Herbert.
Yeah. Good pick. Good pick there. All right, next, your third pick.
It's me again. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's you again.
Okay, that's how this works. I always get confused on the old system. Listen, I don't know how she's done in any of her. Yeah, I don't know how she's done in any of her races this year. I don't know if I've seen her race since Doha 2019, but I'm going with Adva Cohen.
Oh, all right.
Let's go pick her.
So, Orton, Herbert, and Cohen for Lincoln. I have Donahue, Bethany Haas, and then I'm going to go with Kaylee Logue of Iowa State. Third pick. Gordon, you're up. You have Mercy Chilangat, Zofia Dudek. Now you get 2 more.
I was worried that she wouldn't fall all the way down to 9-10, but she did, and I'm happy with that because I think she might be my number 2 runner overall. I'm going with NAU's Taryn O'Neill.
Okay.
She's been running well. Pick. And then my second, this is like shuffle up and deal. What are you going to get? Dang it.
Come on, shuffle up and deal. It's an audio podcast. You got to talk, Gordon. If you're not talking, people aren't listening.
I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. I'm staring and I'm thinking.
Or your computer could freeze for like 3 minutes.
It happens.
You're staring at Lincoln too much.
I guess I'm not. You know what? Screw it. Melanie Smart. She hasn't run it all year. She hasn't run yet. I'm going with her. Okay. Melanie Smart.
All right, you missed the obvious pick. I'm Taylor Rowe, running at home for Oklahoma State. I'll take her. Boom. Sorry, Gordon.
It's all right. I'm not upset about it.
You should be, because I just won. That was it. That's the deciding factor.
That was.
Lincoln is up now. He's got on his team Orton, Herbert, Cohen. Now he's rounding out with his 4-5.
I love these athletes who have been doing indoor and cross country. Seems like a great plan. Okay. So I picked Cohen. I should probably pick the person who beat her at the conference meet. So again, another name I'm not familiar with, but Mahala Norris of Air Force.
Mahala Norris. Yeah. Okay.
Mahala? Okay. And I have another one, right? I know I keep forgetting. I gotta.
Yeah. There's another good Mountain West pick there too. Right in that same range.
Well, hold on here, because now that you've recommended it,
he didn't have to pick her, but I'm just saying she's good, right?
Well, it's not Mountain West, but I'm gonna go with Anna Camp.
Okay, that's not who I was thinking. I was thinking of Tyler Beeling. Gordon, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm going Beeling.
Beeling. So I assume so.
I don't know why I'm asking Gordon for correct pronunciations. That's how much we've fallen off, Lincoln. Since you left, it's really gotten
things are dark
here. All right, so Gordon, you have Mercy, Dudek, Taryn O'Neill, and Melanie Smart. So you get your 4 and 5 here.
Well, did you take Beeling?
Yep, I did.
Oh, okay.
Again, I one-upped you once again.
You one-upped me once again. All right, I'm going with Amanda Vestry of Syracuse.
Okay.
And then
that's 5.
I'm going to go with
You're just making noises, Gordon.
Hannah Steelman. Hannah Steelman.
Oh, that's a good pick. Steelman. I can't believe she dropped that far, actually, now that I think about it. I'm going to go... Man, I kind of want to pick Lauren Gregory, but she's going to run indoors, so I'm not sure. I'm going to go BYU, Aubrey Frentaway. I want to pick another person on a good team, so that's who I'll go with here. So she's my 6th pick here. So we go to Lincoln for 6 and 7. So this is your last 2 picks, Lincoln, to join Orton, Herbert, Cohen, Norris, and Camp.
Have I picked anyone that's doubling? I should probably have known that. I'm guessing I haven't.
No,
no,
I don't. Is Herbert gonna? Herbert's not like running the
Bethany Haas. I think Bethany Haas is. Oh, that's you.
I have Bethany Haas. Yeah.
Cohen. Okay. No one's doubling.
Okay. Has anyone picked Dominique Claremont?
Nope. You got her there at 6.
Conspicuously jumped from 25 to 10. I mean, I know these rankings are they're the end all be all, but I don't know if Gordon doesn't believe his own rankings, jumping her from 25 to 10, but I like that I like that move up the mountain as we head to NCAAs. And then I'm going to go with a fun name because you got to have at least one on your team, Poppy Tank, for my last pick.
Poppy Tank. So that is Lincoln's picks. I'm going to go for my final pick. There's someone I want to pick, but I don't know if she's running the meet. But I'm not going to pick her. Okay, I'm going to pick, let's see. Let's stick with the former JUCO theme and also Alabama theme, and let's go Esther Gatahi with my last pick. Esther Gatahi.
She ran a track 5K in sub 16 outdoors last week. So there you go. She's fit.
Last pick, Gordon, to you.
My last pick, I'm going with Portland's Anna Pataki.
All right, Anna Pataki. So the teams are as follows. For the women, Lincoln has Whitney Orton, Haley Herbert, Adva Cohen, Mahala Norris, Anna Camp, Dominique Claremonte, and Poppy Tank. I have Ella Donahue, Bethany Haas, Kaylee Logue, Taylor Rowe, Taylor Beeling, Aubrey Frentaway, and Esther Gatahi. Gordon has Mercy Chalangat, Sophia Dudek, Taryn O'Neill, Melanie Smart, Amanda Vestry, Hannah Steelman, and Anna Pataki. On the men's side of things, Gordon has Mance, Klinger, Nerd, Kemboy, Farrow, Deaver, and Meyer. My just band of marauders is Kiptu, Herrera, Nagus, Messler, Bienenfeld, Bosley, and Walid Suleiman. Lincoln, who should win this thing for all intents and purposes, Grijalva, Nico Young, Isai Rodriguez, Alex Masai, Hicks, and Sprout from Stanford, and then rounding out his team with Barry Keene. That's the squad there. Gordon or Lincoln, you should stay on because we have a segment that we do on the show. It's called Gordon's Guesses, where Gordon makes picks, and he's been really good. He calls like Josh Kurd's 1,500 meter times down to almost the 10th. Wow. People are not ripping him on YouTube. Someone called him what they call you, a prophet, Gordon, on YouTube. Like his approval rating is turning around. It's impressive.
It's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now you have a million races to pick from. So you can choose whichever, I don't know, give me like a Cooper tier pick. Can you give me a Cooper tier pick in the 3K?
We're going time? Well, see, okay. Picking championship times, man, that's like impossible.
No, but pick events. I don't know. Pick something. This is your segment, but I'm just trying to think of.
No, it's my segment. You have to give me an event, and I have to tell you the winner and or the winning time.
Okay, here. Okay, I don't. But you're right. We don't care about times
with the content. Yeah.
Okay. I don't care about times, and there's too many. We're not going to pick every single race, but let's just talk about the Oregon men's mid distance. So they have the DMR. They have an 800 potential champion. They have a mile potential champion and a 3K. What will happen in those 4 races? Go.
I will tell you how many points they'll score. How about that?
I thought you said this was my thing that I get to pick. Yeah, come on. How about you just pick where each one of them will finish? Stop doing math.
They will score 46 points in the indoor events. They will get second in the 8.
Oh, the distance.
They'll get second.
Who will get second?
What's his name? Charlie Hunter. He'll get second in the 8. They will go 3-5 in the mile. They will win the DMR, and they'll go 1-2 in the 3K.
Okay. Who will win the women's cross country title, and how many points will they score?
Oh, I thought you meant individually. I was like, they will score 1 point.
1.
Team wise, who will win?
Yes, team, Gordon.
I think BYU women will win.
What's the score?
139 points.
Okay. What will NAU score?
NAU men, they will score 50 points.
Oh my God. 50 points?
What will runner-up score? How much will NAU win by?
NAU will win by at least 50 points.
Okay. Nico Young's margin of victory.
Negative. Negative.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
Negative 25 seconds.
Pick the
who's going to win?
Individual winner. Yeah. Give me the top 3 in order.
Hopefully he picks the guy he chose.
I think it's going to go Kiptu, Mance, Grijalva.
Why didn't you pick? Okay. Didn't you have a chance to pick? Because
yeah, I did have a chance to pick him, but like Mance, I know will not finish. Like Kiptu, what if Kiptu decides to twist his ankle in the indoor 5K or doesn't know what he's doing and finishes pulls a Thanis Kyoko and finishes 100th or whatever. You never know.
That's a B-side cut right there.
But Mance, he's gonna finish no worse than second, so that's why I picked him.
Lincoln, do you have any picks or not any picks, but any questions you have for Gordon about things you want him to pick this weekend?
It'd be fun if we could pick who you think is going to get last, but I think that's a little cruel. But I think I've always think that should be a pick. It's always fun to try to. I think Gordon's been pretty good at that in the past. We've never published that, but he usually is pretty solid for hunting at team. Some of the lesser teams' 7th man to find out who's going to finish last.
Who's going to get last?
I know.
I can tell you who I think's going to get last at NCAAs.
We're gonna light a fire
Ouch.
under this guy. And
Brandon Olden, the sophomore from Siena. Brandon Olden, he's going to get last.
Okay.
And on the women's side, the last woman is going to be Sophia Sofelt, sophomore from San Francisco.
I can't wait for these people to get third to last, and then they, hopefully hit you up somewhere in a complaint to say, "See,
at Gordon on that one." I got one more. I got one more event I want to ask about because there's some prominent names in this event for indoors. The men's 200. How do you see that event shaking out? You have Matt Bowling, of course. You have Terrence Laird. You have Micaiah Harris in there. You have a sophomore from Florida, Joseph Fanbula, who has run a 20.32.
I think Bowling wins.
Really?
20.25 Bowling.
All right.
Also, Abby Steiner is going to win the 200, and everyone's going to be talking about her after the meet.
You've said that for like months.
She's going to run like close to the collegiate record. I'm telling you. Abby Steiner is going to the Olympics. No one even knows it, but I do. She's going to the Olympics.
Well, they know it because you say it literally every week. Okay, so actually one more. Women's DMR.
BYU.
Man, you are just buying all the BYU stock there is available.
Yeah.
All right.
Why not?
That's this edition of Gordon's Guesses. Probably wasn't the best, despite the fact that we had the most things to pick.
But what do you mean best? They're all right. They're all going to be right. So it is the best. If I'm right.
Okay. All right.
That's how it
Lincoln,
works.
thanks for joining us. That was fun.
Of course. Yeah, I'll see you guys.
You're
I don't know, several months from now.
The next fantasy draft.
Outdoor fantasy.
Yeah, the next fantasy draft.
There you go. All right. Thanks to Alon for producing. Remember, we got live watch parties this weekend on Saturday for the Indoor Championships and then on Monday for cross country. Obviously, we're also going to have a Friday pod after the action from the second day of the indoor meet. You can check all that out on the FloTrack Podcast YouTube page. We'll talk to you guys soon.